Tricky indeed. Sneeze. Game number 1. I'm excited. This is everything I could ask for in a draft, right? We have an off-lane Meepo, which I've seen before. Like, we have dabbled in the off-lane Meepo recently, but it's been a hot minute. And like we talked about with Jabs, he could do anything. And this is... Meepo is anything. Meepo is a thing.
Yeah, this is one of the... How many heroes are there in Dota now? 120 something? This is one of the 120 things that Jabs can do. Off-lane Meepo, right? We'll have to see exactly what their plan is, because I still stand by what I was saying, where I think there are threats to the Meepo in this game. But, you know, it's pretty decent overall. Can get a lot of targeted harass out onto these supports. And, I mean, even if you summon Meepo illusions and just kind of flame break him a little bit, it's just going to net you down. That control can't be understated.
Yeah.
Now, this is the grand finals. Didn't think we'd be here. It's literally the streamer team. I mean, it's only Cuckoo who streams, but you get my point. Versus what was touted as Southeast Asia's #1, right? These old talent guys now with Armel, you know, the immense amount of confidence that Armel is having now back on home ground. That's got to count for something. And Aurora, they had the chance to watch as Darleng had to go through that grueling 3 games. Now, there were some parts where it was closer than others, but still they had to fight for it. And we always have to keep in mind Aurora coming in fresh, whether that momentum is going to favor Darleng or whether Aurora, you know, having that additional rest and info can help them out.
Drake, you got to be careful here, my friend. Well, not too much kill potential Aurora level 1, right? Like, what are you going to do? Level lift? You know, doesn't feel too good.
Congratulations on losing the lane. That's
exactly.
Literally going to happen.
Yeah.
You kind of need it as well, because I mean, between the poof as well as the Fable, it's quite a chunk of magic damage that can eat into the Troll. And Troll's all about trading, right? He wants to stay in that lane, like you've mentioned before, occupy as much space there as possible. He can jungle, but doesn't really want to be forced into it. So if he's able to pressure out the Meepo, even better.
Do you think we're going to see a similar thing that safe lane Meepos, where they gank through that portal come level 4?
Oh, 100%. Okay, no, not Jabs. Jabs go farm. He's gonna min-max, like, stack a camp for himself, poof it on out, and maybe work and clear around some of Palos' jungle in the bot side. For now, Q taking quite a bit of the damage. That's the benefit of the Bat Rider. So good at trading early on.
Flame Break. How many patches in a row has Flame Break been buffed? Like 2, 3 now?
Too many is the answer.
Yeah.
It's, yeah. Look at that. It's just so annoying because it's the projectile is slow, but it still just takes you down over time, bumps you into an uncomfortable position. You need to kind of reposition before you can start trading back. 10 out of 10 trading spell, I'd say. Fabled, like,
I'm
maybe
gonna say something. Yeah. Fabled. Well, Fabled is, as it levels, a lot better. Level 1 Fadebolt, that's just to secure range creeps. Oh, level 3, like level 2 Fadebolt, now we're talking.
Yeah. Now we're in trade town.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the grand finals. So Aurora, I think, you know, it benefit them the most if they came into this as if it were any other match. Because the second you start thinking, okay, you know, you start getting carried away by the zaniness that Team Darleng are bringing out, you start losing focus on what you do, you lose that discipline that we've been sort of praising them for. I feel like that's where Darleng will strike the hardest.
You also have to keep in mind, right? Dota, like Darleng are probably going to be playing to not to have fun. They're playing to win at this point.
Yeah.
But they're going to try to have fun along the way as well, right? Like we've already talked about, no pressure from an organization really weighing them down. Pressure from the fans, sure, but no real external pressure from any big org that's expecting you to go far.
Yeah, I mean, no pressure as well, right? First blood, who cares? Jotun, he's going to give that one up to Jabs. Maybe he should care a little bit because this is Jab's Meepo, and Meepo is one of the heroes that can just explode. But you know, no pressure, right? It's all good.
Yeah, exactly, right. Yeah, we're chilling, we're having a good time. You can afford to lose 1 game in a grand finals, right? Like you can afford to feed first blood.
You can afford to lose 2. That's how the best of 5 was.
That's
crazy
That's
business. First time on this format. They'll come through onto Palos. Has a salve in the back pocket, so he can just get reset up easily. And yeah, Trade City, like we mentioned, no surprises here. Other than that, relatively quiet overall. a little bit worried for Amel as I keep seeing his health bar just drop so low. This is not the first time we've seen Amel play on the edge, but one crush, one bash, that could be the end of his life here in the mid lane.
I mean, as long as he doesn't die, he's doing incredibly well. 18-3 to Slidar's 12-3.
Yeah. Starting the aggressive move out onto Jabs here, but a nice net on both heroes. Light it up down the middle as well. Stops him in the tracks. Set up here, Drake has rotated over to the mid lane, the bash, like we mentioned in the crush, but Ollie here to help his buddy out, and are they actually going to turn this on the Yoe? Nicely done, and Drake trying desperately to finish that off, but the last auto attack from the Shadow Demon lands right before the missed call can connect. It's still a good attempt there, overall from Darling, but the fact that Amel gets the initial EXP and gold, that's huge.
Yeah. Yeah, I honestly didn't expect to go that way. The Shadow Demon gang really came in great. Ollie, great rotation, right? You know Armel's screaming for help at that point, right? Like, I'm dying, please, anyone help me.
Yeah, just unintelligible, like, shouting in the comms right now. Like,
yeah.
Like, ah, help! And Ollie's like, alright. Ollie's like a calm guy, you know, like throughout his entire stint on IG, is never really sort of been the front face for interviews and stuff like that, but they do have a lot of personality and honestly brings so much stability to this lineup where you have sort of eccentric players like, in a way, Amel and Jabs, right?
Yeah, for sure. And it's also great to have someone with his sort of hero pool as well.
Yeah.
Right? Ollie, like Phoenix, Shadow Demon, Abaddon, playing the Ench as well recently. There's a lot of good stuff for you.
Similar to Jabs, can play just about any position 5 hero. It still maintains his specialties, right? Sometimes when you diversify your pool a little too much, you lose out on that lethality that specialists might have. But yeah, Ollie, he's just been performing so well. Q, bumped back by the Flame Break, nicely set up, using the trees to fog him. This Rubik might be in some trouble. Palos and Jotun are dropping low though, the nice nets to keep them in place, and here comes Ollie yet again. With the miscoil, just secures the troll, and now they're making the chase down onto this Bat Rider. Meanwhile though, Yoe does get a kill on Amel in that mid lane with the help of Drake, but Jotun might be the price. Bond up. All you need is one more miscoil, but Jotun, beautiful Flame Break to create the distance, and he'll be fine. 3 for 3 on the board right now.
Once again, though, another good rotation from Ollie. Unfortunately, he couldn't come mid.
Yeah. That's where Drake exactly was. I mean, you can see the focus that they're having on trying to give Yoe a great start, right? It's already sort of been hampered by that initial mess up. Still fine, though, right? Yoe, he's still making his timing. We've seen this build up from the mid Sladas before, where, you know, it's really just a phase boots, blink, rush, and shot, just to really play for the crush.
Is that what we're leaning towards this game? No sort of Echo Saber or anything like that?
I don't know about that, but right now I'm watching Jotun die here to a high ground blood grenade. Nice deny. Gets the aggro of the creeps as Jabs gets mildly body blocked by Ollie. Might have been able to just close it and get that last hit if that wasn't the case.
But we did see Meepo rotate, right? This is kind of the question that we asked a little bit earlier on. Is Jabs going to be using his other Meepo to make space around the map? Yeah. A little bit, right? Securing the rune, being there for Armel.
Yeah, additional body means that the Bat Rider doesn't feel nearly as comfortable running in, especially because of the threat of the net. But him dying there does allow Yoe to get a nice little bottle refill. Everybody, I think this game, everyone's pretty happy so far, right? Nobody's really sad about how this early game has gone. You know, every single core is doing well in farm, especially Palos as well as 23. They are unbothered, flourishing in their own lane, just chilling and grabbing as many last hits as they can.
And I don't necessarily know who that favors. Morphling, he's going to go for this Vlad's build-up, which means he's going to have a little bit of an earlier availability to fight. But Troll, he's going for a little bit of an earlier build as well with the Maelstrom, which I feel like has been more and more in favor recently. Like, people have fallen out of the Battle Fury in as the Maelstrom, and it's really good into Meepo as well. To be fair, Battle Fury is too, so.
Yeah. I'd actually argue to say that Maelstrom might be better because you can eventually build that to Mjolnir, and that causes major problems. This is pretty surprising to me because we already mentioned the potential for Shadow Demon to get stacks up and the potential for Cuckoo to farm them, but it seems like Drake is going to be the one claiming all these nice little creeps he set up for himself. Set up again in the mid lane, but Yoe going to get chased away by Q. It almost feels like at this point it's mandatory to have some sort of support presence for Amel to back him up.
Yeah, Slidar, he's one of the heroes that might not necessarily care about Ember Spirit's level 6. Right, as long as you have that Guardian Sprint, you could potentially chase him down.
Yeah. It's definitely one of the threats of the mid Slada. They always talk about how mid Slada used to be rough because the chase, or at least the distance that you have to fully chase someone down is so short. But with how buffed he gets from like his own little puddle if he sets it up, even with the crush, I don't think it really matters. Like Yoe is gonna be in serious trouble if he starts getting run down. No, sorry, Ember is gonna be in serious trouble. Yoe is fine.
Yoe is fine. Yeah, Yoe is big chilling.
I think already, net worth-wise, everyone pretty even, but the fact that Darleng are eking out an early advantage does bode well for them. Amplify damage rune onto Ollie. Beautiful lift to break that one up again, and it feels like Yoe, the past 2 minutes, he's been trying to make some aggressive moves on the mid, now rotating down to the bot side, but everywhere he goes, Ollie and Q are right there to stop him.
Aurora are playing together so well right now. And if they can continue playing this well together as the game goes on, it once again might not even be close to Darleng. They have yet to find things that they necessarily, like, they've been yet to find something on the starter which you desperately want right now.
Yeah. I guess there are sort of 3 modes, right? The first is you're behind, which we don't need to talk about, where you're basically just going to be poverty, join your team, and crush bot. But Yoe, even though he hasn't been able to connect on a kill, is still doing very well for himself in terms of the farm. So, you know, he's even gone to, we see in his cute items, maybe a bit of a greedier option, going for the Echo Saber first in ahead of the Blink.
I think that's okay. I think this is one of those, like, you're a mid laner. You're kind of expected to take up space in the map when it comes down to farming.
Yeah.
And Slardar doesn't do that, right? He needs an item to help amplify that.
Once again, in this mid lane, Ollie gonna show his face to help his buddy out, but he's gonna have to pay the price for it. Amel gonna come back, give him a cursory goodbye through the sleight of fist. And yeah, that's all you can really do, Ollie. He's doing his job, but it doesn't really feel good because while Q and Ollie are standing around helping Amel out, Jotun's farming camps, Drake setting up ancient stacks, I fear that the supports on Aurora might reach a point where they're kind of behind on EXP and gold.
And it's super important for these Darleng supports to get gold and XP, right? The Bat Rider level 6 is the only reason you really pick the heroes the game goes later.
Yeah. I mean, a Flame Break, with how good it is now, is a very, very high contender to that statement, but it still is that lasso that's going to help you control out the Morphling or maybe the Mega Meepo. I can't imagine that Darleng are too sad about this early game, though. It feels like they're getting everything they want. Meanwhile, Aurora just holding hands and hoping that they can tide through some of this early pressure.
They gotta do something about 23, though. Slowly but surely farming up a storm, and this rotation from Jotun could be exactly that.
Gonna come through with the Bat Rider, lasso available, but the immediate response, Aurora, they brought the members as well. Q is here, stolen Chakram, but they're pulling in 23. He's able to morph strength up, and the Troll is here as well, but so much burst! Just cuts through that Timber Saw, the stolen Chakram. Q, he's doing so much work! They morph into the Timber, and they steal his Chakram at that. Double up on the cut potential, and Jotun looks like he'll just narrowly make it through. A little bit of that regen, but oh, they chase him right through the Twin Gates. Amel doesn't want to let him go just yet, but they don't spot him. And not really what Darleng wanted there. The Troll joining the fight, overcommitting. And dude, look at the damage dealt by 23. He just turned into that Timber and ripped them a new one.
Yeah, fighting in the trees against a Timber Saw. Crazy, right? Who could have guessed that?
Yeah. And 23 is like, oh, you want to put me in the trees? I'll just morph into the exact hero that's going to ruin your damn day. The Vlad's complete right now also just makes him such an immediate threat like you were mentioning. And he's actually got a position to try and push this tower.
Sure. Why not, right? He's kind of feeling unkillable with Q in the backlines there.
Yeah, everywhere that Q and Ollie are, you gotta feel so safe, but you need to make sure that they don't kind of fall prey to the extended chase of Darleng. For now, Yoe sticking around this mid lane. Not much Ollie can offer in the ways of wave clear. We'll just have to watch his mid tower go down. Doesn't seem like there's any response here because the rest of Aurora, they are busy in that bot side. But smoke up. Darleng, they're looking for action.
They've got lasso off cooldown. Now is go time, right? Once again, you'd really like to get this Morphling. He's sitting in the bottom lane. You know exactly where he is. Armel's a big kill too, though.
Yeah, but can they really close the distance? I mean, Yue has his Echo Saber, but in this type of instance, you'd think, okay, you know, the Blink and Amel's dead there. But because they've sort of made that choice in terms of itemization, they'll miss out and the smoke's just gonna go wide.
And they might get Ollie, but he's got his borrowed time available, so that's an incredibly hard kill.
He's just been able to soak some EXP. Some supports get a little bit too greedy and they try and like maybe walk up and use the spell to secure last hits. I think that's kind of one of the things that really impressed me about Ollie. He knows exactly where to be and what his limits are on that position 5. Just exactly what he can juice, and that's so important. Because you don't want to be giving freebies over to the Darling cause.
Yeah, any sort of kill for Slardar goes a long way, right? Because like we talked about, he isn't necessarily the best at farming. He's a hero that farms other heroes.
Correct. One of the classic quote-unquote anti-carry heroes alongside Razor and maybe Viper, right? You're really looking to put a dent into the opponent carry or cause net worth and game. The golden experience is just rising. It's a less than 1k because 23 just had such a splendid one. But the rest of the cores on Darling, they are starting to surge ahead of their counterparts. This offlane Meepo from Jabs has yet to really make anything happen after a couple of initial rotations, but maybe with that Aghanim Scepter just freshly picked up, we'll see some action.
I don't necessarily think about Aghanim Scepter being the fighting item for Meepo.
Okay.
Right? Like, it's definitely a big survivability item for Meepo, absolutely. But, you know, if you want to fight, Blink Dagger, Diffusal Blade, I feel like are a much better option. But if Slardar is one of those heroes that doesn't have Blink Dagger, you're not too pressed to be getting your Blink Dagger either, because Slardar clearly shows that he wants to be farming instead of fighting.
Yeah. And that's the priority for the side of Darling now. As Shiva's almost completed for Bosco, that's going to help them cut down the Meepo even easier. But we already saw one of the potential problems that could come out for this Darling lineup. If 23 is able to morph into the Timbersaw, or hell, even the Slardar, it could spell big trouble. They're chasing now onto Yue, who's shown his face in the mid lane, jump forward, crush onto him. A bit of a taste of his own medicine. Great pick.
That was a sick waveform crush. That was sick.
He did it so quick too.
Yeah, he did. It was quite like water.
Yeah, that's literally what he is.
Yeah.
They'll start pressuring out. You already mentioned this, the Vlads kind of signifies intention to fight early. Beautiful net from Jabs to set that up, and they'll get another. Oh, was that the Amplify damage? Oh, sorry, Corrosive Haze stolen by the Rubik? That's gonna make these pickoffs so easy. I don't know whether Darling can stand around until this spell expires on this Rubik.
Or you just gotta kill him if it doesn't expire, right? You need to.
You need
like,
to assassinate him, yeah.
This might open up, like, if you have that spell for, what, another, like, minute and a half, it might open up something like the Roshan. You've got the Vlad, you've got the Manta-style finish on 23 now as well. Could be something interesting.
Yeah. Still have yet to really see any successful connected move from the side of Darling. Like you mentioned, maybe it's just the focus on the farm for now. Everybody's scaling up in their own way. Levels pretty even across the board. It's really just Ollie who's struggling a little bit. Top side, they've got the touch out onto Paddles, but I don't think they have the damage to threaten him just yet. It's just Jabs and the two supports. And in comes Bosco with that Shiva's tagging up everybody on Aurora. But 23, he's ready to play. Comes in, swoops in Jotun. They crush out onto the Mega Meepo, but Amel, he's shown up. It's a 1-for-1 trade right now, and it's not exactly even. Paddles wants to pop that ultimate as he drops low and suddenly chop out onto the poor Ember Spirit. Amel doesn't stand a chance as Q. Still trying to play around in the tree line. But once again, it's just your two supports alongside 23 and Bosco. He's still full HP. Nice jukes from Ollie to skirt away from that Chakram. But the Shivas, that's going to present a way bigger problem. 23 left high and dry, but still able to waveform through, clean up Yue. As the dust settles, ends up being a 2-for-3 trade as Bosco not able to find 23. Overall, Darling, they should be pretty happy about that situation.
I think they should overall be. Morphling getting that much gold, though, is kind of scary.
Yeah. The self-tip and the voice line, man, that's cool. I mean, that fight starts because it almost feels like with that Mega Meepo, Jabs felt confident enough to tank the damage, but like what we were saying in the draft, right? There is a lot of AoE. You get stunned, the amplified damage, that Mega Meepo will fall a lot faster than you might expect. One of Photic Shield and Ollie might not be enough.
There's a lot of AoE, and there's a lot of single target damage as well, right? Between the Shadow Demon, the Troll Warlord, And Sidar, he's got a little bit of single target damage as well with that Echo Saber.
Yeah.
Meepo, the Mega Meepo, is not the saving grace that you'd like it to be.
There's a safety remnant available for Amel. He's gonna have to fly away to it, but that's where Jotun was waiting. Spots him right out, and Yoe, with that blink, will hunt him down. Some excellent moves being made by Darling in the past 2 minutes.
Which they desperately needed to be making, right? Like, we've already talked about how Darling, they were kind of missing their earlier engagements, but now they've got Blink Dagger on Yoe.
Yeah. Doing up that
it might just be go time.
It is definitely go time. We've seen the power of this troll able to just waltz into Roche and take that easily. That ability is just going to be amplified by the Corrosive Haze. And true enough, straight up into the pit they go. They know that the Ember is down for 3 seconds. These early death timers are quite low, but maybe they're just gambling on the fact that Aurora won't be comfortable fighting into this smoke up, though. They want to contest. Rest of the side all filtering in. 23 smoke breaks. Ollie's the first one in, though. Just charging rampantly into the pit. This position 5 Abaddon actually has no fear.
No, why would you?
Yeah, true. What are they gonna do? Kill you? Lol.
I mean, that's what borrowed time is for.
Yeah.
It gives you so much time for your team to react, which Aurora, we've already seen that they are willing to throw heroes to save their friends.
Yeah.
And it's been successful before, so, why not? Might be successful again.
So, I know this is kind of crazy to say about a lineup with a Meepo as well as a Rubik, but I think one thing that Aurora are missing right now is burst damage, right? The heroes on the side of Darling are getting pretty considerably tanky, and unless you're getting an instant connection on a single target or morphing into the Timbersaw, we're seeing some of the issues come into play where they're not exactly able to work them down. I'm not really sure what kind of items you pick up later down the line. I'm sure the morphing gets stronger and stronger, but Aurora want to take an extended fight. Darling are completely fine with that.
Yeah. Troll Warlord loves that, right? If you can't burst him down from full to 0, gets that ultimate off, gets that BKB off, who cares?
Yeah, Aurora still are feeling confident with this timing that they've got, though. Running forward straight onto Bosco, netting him up, and he's all alone down here. Shivas or not, he'll go down. Cut him down to size. The rest of the squad too busy dealing with the Tormentor. Get a pretty high value pick up overall.
And that might be Aurora that are looking to head into Roshan.
Yeah. They understand that
Off they
if they leave it again for Timbersaw to come back up, Darling are just gonna snag it, so they need to beat them to the punch.
And between Meepo and the Vlads on Morphling, very easy.
That's great.
Jockram doing work as well.
Yeah, stolen by Q. I mean, that's the key spell that he's been looking at this entire time, and for good reason, right? The Slada, the Timber, and even the Troll, they all want to collapse right next to you, and you just pop a little saw there, everyone's slowed, everyone's sad. It's a bad time. Crash, you ever stand in the middle of a chainsaw before, like right in the middle?
Frequently, actually. Funny you say that. That's actually my favorite pastime, yeah.
Yeah, I can tell. You look like a real professional.
What does that mean? What the hell? what do you... I don't even understand that.
I'll leave you to figure that out as Jabs.
Okay, thank you.
Working on this Tormentor all by himself. But, technically... Okay, if a Meepo has his 3 buddies next to him, do you consider him by himself still? I don't. He has friends.
The Tormentor doesn't.
Yeah. Wait. Yeah, I guess not. Does it only... doesn't it damage all the Meepos?
Tormentor does? Does that... Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because it splits it like you do have friends.
Yeah. They're real. It's not just a figment of his imagination. Here we go, though. Smoke up.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, that's like one of the theories, right? Are the Meepos real?
Yeah.
Is he just...
Big Dota theory.
Or is he big tripping? Like, is he just mad tripping and somehow caused everyone to trip at the same time?
New Lorgasm dropped.
Yeah. Gotta ring up slacks. Divider we stay. Yeah, I mean that description is, do I know you? So it implies, in a way, I'm lorgasming right now. It implies in a way that the Meepos, they might not necessarily even be acquaintances. Wakanda complete on the Morphling though. And the Growth Bow, oh, that is damage. That's juicy, right? The additional magic amp from the Growth Bow. This guy is trucking. There's a reason why you don't give 23 his hero.
And this might be kind of the burst damage that you're looking for from Aurora. That Conda's going to go a long way for it.
Yeah. for now, it's been a while since they've sort of engaged here, and understandably so, Darling. I don't think they feel so comfortable walking into that Aegis Meepo as Jotun trying to create some space in D-Ward in this area will get taken down. But he plants some pretty deep wards. I mean, there's one in the cliff over here. That was from a while ago, and yeah, I mean, right in the mid lane, spotting out any movements. There is that chance for a solo pick-off with that Slada or that Bat Rider tag team up with anyone else.
And look, it's also a good position to die in, right? Like, what is Aurora going to get in that area? They're going to get a tier 1 top eventually, but at that point, you're 10 seconds, 15 seconds away from respawning on the Bat Rider.
Yeah,
Who cares?
It's one of those deaths. It's just one of those deaths that you sort of gain a little bit of information, buy a little bit of time, and for some reason, the script has been flipped, right? Aurora, the start of the game was a little bit shaky for them, but it was just enough for 23 to come online. And boy, this Morphling is hitting right now. 15k net worth, it's just a 2k gold lead, but it feels like they're in the driver's seat.
Absolutely, and I think the name of the game for a lot of these teams recently, like I feel like we've been saying it a lot, is they understand when their timing is, right? They understand when to hit their timing.
I don't know whether a timing's gonna be hit or whether Jab's gonna get smacked. He blinks in to the mix, finds the backline, but meanwhile the fight's completely scattered. Yoe tries to blink and get the Morphling, but already dodging out. Palos, everything's so messy. You're getting a drag back onto Armel, but now he's the one killing you off. Q is gonna go down, no more sneaky Chakram as they clean up the backline and get the first life of the Meepo. He's committed far too deep for this Shadow Demon who has the Aghanim Scepter complete already, and Jabs is gonna go down a second time. A bit of a disconnect in terms of what Aurora were trying to accomplish there. Jabs just pulls the trigger, jumps in, but the rest of Darling, they were well and ready. Not be done just yet as Ollie does get tagged up. Palos can make quick work of this poor Abaddon. No more borrowed time. He'll be able to sneak his way under that tower. Or not what you were planning for. I mean, that's I don't want to say classic.
Am I back? Yeah. Can I hear again?
Hello? Are you there? Oh. Okay, well, we'll just leave it at that now. I'm just going to keep continuing on without my dear boy Crash Roni. It's him dealing with the issues this time round. But, I mean, speaking of issues, we're starting to see some of them. You're running in and you're trying to commit the Meepo, starting the fight, but Drake, he is a farmed Shadow Demon. Like, he's just gonna turn around. He has the shard as well, so he'll cleanse himself, ulti you, whether Mega Meepo or not, and it's gonna be so easy for the side of Darling to just focus you down. And a little bit of back and forth. Right now, Aurora, we were just saying maybe they flipped the script a little bit. They have this timing with the Aegis, completely lost it, and Palos now leading the charge on the front lines.
Radiant are scanning.
Oh, looks like Drake sharing in the issues that Crash might be having, but timely as we take a little bit of a breather. I mean, that fight was just all over the place, and you could kind of sense the panic in a way from Aurora. So many different things were happening. We were looking at Jotun basically drag Armel out of the picture, not allowing that Ember to have any impact on the Meepo, just slowly going down. And 23, it felt like he was just being routed. He could not afford to commit into the mix as well. Just altogether, really nice divide and conquer type beat, and I'm not talking about the Meepo ultimate. Jabs, he definitely has to be a lot more careful about how he jumps in like that. We already mentioned it and we already saw it. In fact, there's a lot of damage for this Meepo. You can just cut through him easy. And it's going to be a while before he reaches the point where he can tank that. And I dare say there is no point in the game where he becomes unkillable just because of these heroes that he's up against. Troll, Slada, Timber, they have so much damage over time and extended damage throughout the fight, consistent damage, that if you try and man-fight them, it's not really going to work out. I can't help but feel like Aurora, they need to rely on the element of surprise a little bit.
No, absolutely. And I think Disperser will definitely go a long way this game in your survivability, but it's definitely not the end-all be-all for him, right? That isn't going to be the item that saves him forever. It's going to give him maybe one way to disengage, but at the end of the day, that's not going to be enough.
Yeah, I can't help but feel like Aurora, this is a bit of a slap in the face for them. And they might just have to resort to trying for these off-angle pickoffs to start the fight. Because we've seen when they run into Darling as a lineup, not only are the Darling heroes too tanky for them, they put on a lot of damage individually. And they all have their own ways of really messing with you. You jump in, you get disrupted, suddenly Jotun's pulling one of your allies just completely out on the outskirts of the fight. Bosku's acting like this frontal bodyguard now with the Eternal Shroud as well. It's a lot to deal with, and Aurora, they need to come up with a plan for this.
Right now, their biggest plan is the 23 BKB, but that's not going to amplify their damage, right? That's just going to keep 23 alive for a lot longer.
Yeah, but that was kind of the key issue with the previous fight, right? I'm not sure whether you caught me saying this, but 23, he was almost hesitant to commit in with the rest of the squad. Sure, it's a bit deep, but I think that BKB is necessary. The damage department might not necessarily be an issue because, hell, he already has Kanda, Manta, Blitz. That's
True.
a crazy amount, right? So I don't think he was really able to put those tools to work that fight. The BKB is the only option.
Absolutely. You desperately need a BKB, and I wonder when Palos will be building a BKB for himself, because it definitely seems like it's nice, but it's not necessary, right? And that might be what the Manta style's for, where you're just kind of not too worried to build a BKB.
I mean, the thing he has queued up next is a Satanic, so clearly he's not too concerned about that. Just wants to have a second...
Just more purge, right? Just more to get him out of the scenarios, right? Get him out of the nets, chains as well. There's no reliable lockdown other than lift, and that's you know, that's a weird thing to say.
Yeah, I mean, that entire fight, Bosco did a really good job just tracking on top of that Rubik. He's had enough of Q stealing his chakram to put him down himself.
Fair enough, right? Q is a big part right now of Aurora's fights. Ollie, you can't focus the Abaddon, right? And that's been true in Dota for a very long time. It is so hard to focus this hero unless you can somehow cheesy kill him through his ultimate, like whether it be like an axe or something like that. That's really the only way that you can focus a hero like Abaddon. So you have to find these other heroes like Q, like Jabs, even Armel. If you can jump this Ember Spirit, he doesn't really have a defensive item.
Yeah, I mean, right now for me at least, the story for Aurora, whatever the plan is that they concoct, it has to start with Drake. He already has his Aghanims Rush and the Shard. We already briefly mentioned the impact that had in the previous fight. Even through the self-disrupt, you need to find a way to take him out. He's going to do way too much work. Especially with the Eye of the Vizier, he didn't even need to get something like an Aether Lens to keep a safe distance, right? You need to commit so far in on Jab just to kill him off. You find some off angles, set up some vision, fight around it. That kind of feels like the only way.
And that's where like these supports are going to be so important in this game, right? Jotun, we've already seen him die to get vision out. Ollie, he's probably going to be doing something similar, but once again, Abaddon, very hard to kill. As long as Aurora are somewhat in the area, Ollie should be fine, right? Getting these aggressive wards out.
Yeah, in a way, I think my eyes on this and this entire game, I'm just looking at 23, right? He's the person who's going to be responsible for putting out most of the damage. We talked about the plan starting with killing off Drake. He kind of feels like he has to get in there, because Jabs alone can't do it.
Look, Sneeze, no offense, dude. No offense. But saying that you're looking at the safe laner for the big plays is very boring. That's okay. That's not me, you know. That's not like I'm not trying to call you out or anything, but
you got a better
it's very bog standard Dota.
You got a better option, man. You wanna give me a suggestion?
No, I think you're right. It's just a little, you know, it's just a little boring. What can I say?
Well, I mean, this game is anything but boring, right? You started off by saying we got everything that we want. In a way, things have been so much more even than the previous matchups between Aurora and Darleng. Joke or not, meme team or not, stream team, you know, oh, they aren't even taking this seriously, unreal. All of that doesn't matter. At some point, it becomes real, and these guys are here, they're in the grand finals, and it feels like they're showing up.
They're showing up indeed, right? And they be the momentum from the previous series that they've got going for them.
Not deterred by a couple of early fights gone Ori, Carlos will just square up on that tier 2 tower, take it with ease. Now the Roche isn't going to be a factor for a while more. I'm wondering during this period of time whether Aurora even feels strong enough to continue fighting before the Morphling BKB. It's going to fly out right now. So
and Shivas.
True. On the Ember, you mean?
Yep.
Okay.
Not on the Morphling. Morphling did not build Shivas.
You scared me a little bit. I'm like, where did that go?
What the hell? Where did we go wrong? The Morphling is buying Shivas.
Dude, in my eyes, the game is even, and it's nice to know that Gabe agrees with me because I've just taken a look at the win probability and it's 49 to 51. Like, both these teams, yeah, like, it is so close. And you can kind of understand, right? Even in the late game, things get really hairy. The Abaddon Aghanims, if it does come out, is going to pose a serious problem for Darling. But it's a long way until we get there. I'm sure that Darling would love to end the game before that happens. Aurora, they are just kind of scattering around, buying themselves some time.
Aurora, they should be happy with this, right? Like, their momentum is based around Roshan right now. That's the only thing that's going to constrain their
Straight into the mid lane onto Jabs. He might have to hold that thought, the dig up, and the Mega Meepo just to keep himself safe. Mega Meepo not popped just yet, but Jabs, he's still on that front line. Not too worried because he has Ollie behind him, but both teams just dancing around, playing in the river. That's a Slada's territory. You might want to watch yourself there. Immediate smoke back up as Darling want to continue to aggress. No major ultimates or cooldowns have been used so far, but the immediate slide and just jump away. They weren't able to connect on the crush. This time it's Aurora re-smoking and ready for action. Yeah, look at this, the ebb and flow. These two teams, they are just... You can feel the tension in the air. Like we said, it's gotten real. You're in the grand finals. You're about to take the one slot for Southeast Asia. For Aurora, it's expected. For Darling, the people prophesizing for the future already mentioned this might be theirs to just sneak under the belt of all these other organizations. It's all about that initial connection and what you can convert from it. We've seen Crushers, we've seen Chains, but no additional follow-up because they're just so scared.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Fear is a real thing as you go into the grand finals. Jotun, very cheeky plays once again. Getting wards out this time around the Roshan area, right? Recognizing that it's going to be bottom. It's going to be very important. That being said, Palos, he could just take a top potentially, right? Roshan's going to be spawning in 30 seconds. Gives him a nice 10-second window to take Roshan.
Less than that, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
They might just try for it though. Yowie is in the area. Has that Aghanims
They've got the stuns, right? They could try. No, they're just gonna portal down bottom. Yeah. Safe.
It might be a bit earlier.
Vision out.
It might be a bit earlier than Aurora is expecting. They're still kind of dancing around this mid lane, thinking that Darling might be in the area. But if they don't respond in time and get a good position in the bot side, the Roche is just gonna be snapped from right under them.
Yeah, Aurora. Or Darling, rather. They're already here. Roshan is going to be going through that gate anytime now.
Yeah, there he comes. A summer vacation where he's about to just get assassinated. What a sad tale. This one's got to go down real quick. Aurora, not even needing a smoke, just making a beeline straight for this pit. Doesn't seem like they can do it quite in time as closing in is Jabs. Does he dare blink in? Goes on the poof, brings the nets out, but didn't actually commit. It'll be 23 who just waveforms into his own death. Just gets evaporated. Beautiful crush from Yowie to lock him in place. And disaster for Aurora as they need to retreat. Ollie gonna be forced to pop the borrowed time. But he's locked up. They want Amel. That'll be the bigger kill. And the disruption finds him. It's daytime vision. You're going nowhere. Even the lasso for good measure. Jotun will give his life up for it, but Palos was waiting right at the Remnant. Ollie will die as well. You get the Aegis, you get 3, and you only lose your bet. You could have written a better story for Darling in that engagement.
The Remnant catches from Darling have been insane right now, whether it be Jotun earlier or Palos right now. Yeah. Right, that was actually kind of insane, right? That is such a disciplined and good play to see.
Yeah. Oh, they try and get the Roshan banner with 23's courier, but Drake gets that little freebie and even tips him. Trying to kick him while he's down. And Aurora sort of lost out this timing. With the Troll Aegis, he's going to feel a lot more confident to start pushing these remaining tier 2 towers. Could spell trouble for Aurora as their map just closes.
The next big timing for Morphling right now is his level 20. Right, the BKB was not there. Or, like, it was there, but it didn't work. Right, it just, you got blown up. What can you do at that point? Other than not waveform into your own death.
But that's a very difficult task to talk about because the previous fight, you know, he's kind of getting Pavlov dog syndrome a little bit here, right? The previous fight, he didn't dare to waveform in, morphed in Timber, tried to play the outskirts, didn't do enough damage to actually threaten anyone. This time round, he's feeling the pressure. Okay, my team can't do it, I have to. Submits himself to his own death. So it's a very tricky situation for 23 to pilot up. It feels like if he goes in, he dies. If he doesn't, his team dies. Either way, it's a lose-lose situation. Like we mentioned, almost feels like you need to get a little creative with it. Start things out onto Bosku. Netting him out, but not going to connect as he's able to just walk his way out of there. Uh-oh, Yoei has got the touch of the jabs, but that's what the dig is for. Hiding away underground, taking turns to just burrow, just playing some whack-a-mole. Darling will have to. It's a nice crush onto Morphling again, and they have the control. He needs to get out. Able to pop the BKB, turn back onto Yoei, but he just gets healed up, and the Morphling doesn't stand a chance. Palos stands his ground, BKBs, delivers, and just smacks 23 down into the curb. Looking nothing compared to this puddle that Yoei is swimming in. Just trampling and swimming right through you. As jabs, he Mega Meeples up, but again, the Shadow Demon just slowing down the Shiva, so much control. You'll actually buy back on 23 this fight. Amel wants to get the touch out of Palos, they'll get the first life. But the rest of the side of Darling are still standing around. You gotta watch for the Timbersaw, who ends up going down anyway. Yoei now in a little bit of a pickle. This buyback actually working out for Aurora. They pull the trigger on the most expensive one in the game, and if they get Palos, that will be more than worth it. The desperate nets coming through. There's a lift. That's the only instant disable they have, and they'll put it to work. Finish off Palos as well. And as the dust settles, I think Aurora, they must have come out on top of that, but boy did it cost them.
And Darling, they actually have kind of a win condition. I know they lose the fight, but they kind of have a win condition now, right? If they can get 23 down again, no buyback, that opens up your high ground.
Yeah, we're looking at a potential very easy sweep through as long as Darling, they're able to connect the way they have so far. I just kind of feel like these past few engagements, 23 has been such an easy target. And Ollie, even with his Aphotic Shield and the attempted saves, it's just not enough to fish Morphling out of there.
I like this change from 23 now, right? He's recognizing that Lasso is a problem. So, time to buy a Lincoln Sphere, right? It's the only thing that's going to save you. The BKB doesn't do anything in the face of Lasso.
Yeah. He just needs to be able to dictate how he enters the fight on his own terms. It's been so disjointed so far. Every single time he's waveformed in, it's just been into Yoei. And Yoei just crushes, starts bashing. And even when you BKB, the Troll and the Slada, famously, I mean, these are the Bash brothers right here. You bring in Spirit Breaker, you got the full squad. Your BKB does nothing.
Yeah. It's such a weird game right now. Like, Armel has bought a Blink Dagger on the Ember Spirit. That's the sign of the times that game is going weird for Aurora.
Yeah. You kind of need it because it feels like a weird pickup at this point in time, but the full-on search forward commit is so crazy that you just need tools to be able to reposition and get yourself out of that impact zone, right? As soon as Yoei's in there, that's where they're going to stand their ground and fight. Palos just wants to stand his ground and smack you to bits. I think Aurora are slowly realizing they can't actually walk into that no-fly zone. The puddle, all the BKBs, and the control in that area where Cuckoo's just able to freehand throw his sauce out and about. It's too much.
No Aegis, no problem. Darling, they're going to go again.
Straight in, looking for a target. Shivas will just barely miss out on tagging Ollie. They're coming in from a pretty off angle. Oh, Aurora, they're about to be caught. But at the very least, it's not the Morphling. Just your position 5. Ollie, he'll try and buy as much time as he can, but that's about all he can do.
It's actually kind of sad. Ollie almost has his Aghanim Scepter. Dying here doesn't feel too good.
Yeah, it's not going to cut him down too much, though.
No, he buys out, right? So at the end of the day, you get all your... You don't lose any gold there.
Clap? Actually, that might be the... That might actually be the one item that could change the flow of this fight. If the damage is able to be redirected over to Ollie instead of this poor, I guess 23 Savage Morphling, Aurora might actually stand a chance. I think Ollie's about to become the most important hero in the game.
Once again, though, I don't think you can full commit onto the Abaddon. Like, he's still not a hero that you can full to 0.
Yeah.
Right? And maybe you need to get him isolated. Maybe this is a point where you lasso the Abaddon, isolate the Abaddon, and that is when you can deal with him.
Yeah. I mean, there's also, even if you don't commit onto him, there's nothing stopping him from just running into that prior impact zone that I mentioned, like in between the chakrams, right into the Slada and taking that force damage. Found Q out. Just a freebie there. Actually has the killing spree, so Nice additional chunk of change for Palos, not that he needs it. 25k net worth at this point in time. The goalie is still so even, which is crazy. And they're neck and neck in kill score as well, but it'll be them, Team Darling, who start knocking on the high ground. And Aurora, they're 4v5 right now. They don't have the option of buying back. But without an Aegis in Palos' pocket, they might not feel quite as confident to commit.
Satanic BKB and the Mantis style. They're gonna try for something.
Yeah. But still advantages in terms of the numbers for now. Just give Palos a couple of buddies to hit the tower with. Yoe actually jumping forward for the blink, but Jabs, he's straight onto Jotun on the backline. Once again, the main meeple threatened. He has to mega up, but they're standing their ground and delivering. Jabs, he's in trouble, and he's gonna be able to just narrowly dig out of there. 23 against Palos once again, but forced away from out. You're fully committing onto the meeple, and he doesn't stand a chance. Ollie, with their Aghanims, managing to actually keep him alive for now, but he's finally gonna go down as Jabs scurrying his way desperate out of here. The Yule setup is there, and they'll just crush the meeple back down to earth. No more digging for you. Palos actually forced to pop the ultimate. 23 morphing into that Timbersaw, but now he's left high and dry. Iced to bits by that Shivas, and Armel doesn't stand a chance as well. 100 seconds without your Morphling, can't help but feel like this is gonna be the end. There's nothing stopping the troll from just laying into your buildings other than his low HP. Still just go back to that creep cam, use the Satanic, and Drake still coming forward with the setup. Armel forced to buy back. He feels like he has to do just about everything here, but he can't afford to commit into what might be his potential dieback. That'll be the end of the game. Jotun does go down, and the heroes on the side of Darling are low, but not Palos. Managing to get back up to full HP thanks to that Satanic, and he'll continue the beat down onto this Rax. Maybe not the game ender just yet, but at the very minimum 2 sets.
If they go for T4s, they might. They might.
Armel, you gotta watch yourself. The Hex out, the control, it's there. Can't really connect with the axes from Palos though, as Ember Spirit will be able to sneak his way out of there and showing the respect. All the other supporting cast members on the side of Darling, they're a bit too low to feel comfortable sticking around. And Aurora will hold on the back of that Armel buyback.
That's a lot better of a buyback than I thought it was going to be. Armel, he had the potential of just kind of dying there, but the discipline and the skill for Armel, right? That was a very good use of his buyback that I feel like potentially other players might not have made, right? Maybe Aurora, if they're a less disciplined team, if they don't have the game knowledge that they do, that might have been a GG call.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly was feeling like a gone fight, losing 23 like that. He did a pretty good job in terms of dipping into the backlines and trying to do the damage, morphing into the Timber like we mentioned. We're just feeling like it isn't really enough. Armel, he is contributing quite a bit in terms of the damage department, but these heroes, they're so tanky, and you haven't really itemized to cut through the HP. Close to 4k on Yoe, now waiting for a shield rune as well. And kind of similar situation for the Timber, right? The EHP is insane, and now that additional bit of control with the Hex. Jabs has one as well, but oh, Yoe, look at where he's positioned. They'll jump up onto Jabs, but have they sort of caught an off angle here? It's 2 heroes on the side of Darling in the midst of everyone on Aurora, but who's sandwiching who? Yoe will just turn around, start controlling Armel up. Jabs scattered. It's 23 trying to enter the fight. Look at the target focus. It's on to Drake, but he's forced to BKB. 23, he's dropping so low. You want to get out of here, but you still need to do the damage. He's got full commit, but Yoe turns his sights towards 23, and you've already lost Drake on the backside. Decent start to the fight, but Ollie down as well. Both safe supports for both sides. Going down as 23 desperately has to waveform away the entire side of Darling. Just looking at him as Jabs able to clean up, but you're losing your Morphling again. I mean, Jab stays alive for a crazy amount of time, but 23, he really feels like the only one who can put a stop to them, and he's the one getting stamped down to earth.
Roshan is up. If Darling wanted to turn tail and go back for the Roshan, but they're pretty free once again to just kind of hit these racks with Morphling dead.
Yeah, Jab's gonna try and commit in, force the buyback from Ollie, but the Meepo already going down. 95 seconds without Jabs, and suddenly this might actually be it this time. Q, he's gonna try his best. Delay them with the Chakram as well as the lifts, but one crush from Yoe. He could just be falling flat. The only member missing is Drake, and they don't even need him to just melt that Rubik down straight onto the tier 4s. Yeah, I think they've done it. They're forcing the buyback. It's a 3v4 at best, and Drake, he's gonna join them. Make it a full force situation. What can you do on Aurora? I just don't really have an answer. Looks
Nothing
like
right now. You can't.
Darling, have they just done it in this game number 1 here? Ollie, trying to buy as much time as possible, but as we know with the Abaddon, it's nothing but borrowed. It's a nice hex to control, but Armel, not much else he can do. He flies away to the opposite side of the map, doesn't even want to witness his own Ancient falling. It's too painful to bear as Palos, Cuckoo, and the gang, they'll take away game number 1 in what was the closest game we've seen in a very, very long while for Aurora.
Yeah, it was even for the first, what, 30 minutes of the entire